Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new video. This video is going to be a little bit different. You see me talking about like halal tactics and business tactics all the time. But this video, I want to dive a little bit into my journey, the mistakes that I made, all the things, the ups and the downs that I went through. You know, I mean, I've been in business since the age of 16. 8 years ago, I started and I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was struggling, the ups and the downs. And I even reverted to Islam 2-3 years ago now. So I've went through this whole roller coaster of adjusting, learning, and alhamdulillah, I mean, so far we have been able to establish something beautiful, and I'm trying to give that back. And today I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the questions, you know, so that you can learn from my mistakes and avoid it yourself, you know. And recently I've created a private Instagram account where I dive deeper into that. So I mean, I will be holding my phone a little bit so that I can go through those questions and actually share it with you, so that you can avoid making the mistakes that I've made and go through the process much faster yourself, inshallah. So that being said, let's dive straight into it. Bismillah. I think this is a good question. Do you remember your first big win? The moment that it finally clicked? So, I mean, you know, the thing is just that the thing I want to mention first is that the hardest part is actually always the beginning. You know, the early stage, full of doubt, full of like rejection. It's the invisible progress that no one actually sees. You know, it's you just grinding, locked in. No one is there to help you. It's you just needing to do it. And I remember, especially myself, I was very motivated in the beginning, but I was so young. You know, I was 16 years old. I was still studying and I had these big dreams and I was seeing that it was possible because of the books that I was reading, because of the videos that I saw. But it took me a long time. I just tried to do everything by myself. I had no one that could like give me a little bit of like tips and tricks, you know. I just tried, and I remember doing so much outreach, doing so much working on my business to get it done. I even managed to get a few sales calls, but I messed it up, and like it's actually a very tough process. You know, you will question yourself at some point, even constantly, of the reward not being shown to you yet. So I think the first real win, and actually the biggest win that I've had in my life, is closing that first client, you know, because that's when a whole new world opens up to you of that confirmation that you see that is actually possible. Alhamdulillah. I mean, nowadays we are closing deals that are way bigger than that first deal that I closed. I mean, the first deal that I closed, I remember that I even still have contact with this client. It was for a website that we were building, and it was even for $700 or so, $800. I mean, it's nothing compared to what we're doing right now, but I think that's my biggest win ever, you know? And entrepreneurs talk about this sometimes. They say it's harder to go from 0 to 1 than going from 1 to 1,000 or 1,000,000 or whatever, you know? And I really agree with that, because that first part, you don't know what you're doing, you're doubting yourself, and once you have something that works, it's easier to just repeat it and do more of that, you know? But that first part, it's so hard, you know? So, alhamdulillah, it's, I mean, I have a lot of big wins, a lot of victories throughout my business journey in recent years, but it's nothing compared to that real big first win, you know, of closing your first client, alhamdulillah. All right, so let's see, next question. Question here is, do I actually do it for money? Or what is your goal behind your business? So this is a good question. And the thing that I want to mention here is that I see money as a tool and also an amplifier of who you are and what you do. You know, it actually magnifies who you already are. You know, wealth, it doesn't change your heart, it more exposes it. You know, I mean, if you are generous, if you like to give, you will give more once you have money. But if you're greedy, if you have the wrong mindset around business, then you will also take more. So I think that the whole lesson around money for me is also just like Islam teaches it, you know, it's about balance. It's about seeing money as a tool, not as the purpose. It's not the end goal. I mean, wealth in and of itself is not good or bad. Just like I say it multiple times throughout my previous videos. I mean, just like you can use a knife for harming someone, you can also use it to cook a nice meal, you know? So a knife is not good or bad, and so is money not, you know? Money is a tool, and once you see what you can do with it, because yes, in business we talk about numbers, you know? The best way to indicate the success of a business and the impact that you're making is money. So we cannot neglect that money is part of the goal, but it's not the goal. It's the stepping stone that you need. If you look at your goals and the impact that you want to make with your business, and if I look at my story and everything, it's not about the money. But alhamdulillah, I mean, Islam really shifted that mindset, because I when I started, I was really, really materialistic. I was very focused on that material success, having the big cars and the nice money and everything like that. But alhamdulillah, I mean, even myself, when I started experience that first successes, it doesn't do anything if your heart is attached to that success. So don't change the money, you know. It's like it will never fix your pain. It's something you need to use to provide for others, provide for your family, serve the ummah, serve the world. And you know, my business, I don't want to build it just for this dunya. I want to build it for, of course, like benefiting in here, to live a life where I can help others, where I can be in line with my deen, but also like on the day of judgment, I don't want my money to be against me, you know. So okay, next question. What skill changed your life, and what is the thing I should prioritize to learn? So that's actually a very good question. I mean, first of all, you don't need hundreds of skill sets, you know. You only need one and master it. Because if you have one skill and master it, you can use it for 1,000 different ways. You know, I mean, millionaires, they like the successful people around here, they don't do everything at once. They just become very good at one thing, and they're obsessed with that one thing. And I think obsessed and being obsessed is like a little bit of a weird term sometimes, but I think you really need that. If I talk to like my friends who are in business, they really sacrifice their youth or like their free time to just look at a screen. You know, it's a little bit weird, but you need to see it as a game that you love. So when talking about the skill, you need focus. You need to have something that is valuable, you know, like learn a skill, learn something so you can be valuable to others. Like, in and of itself, business is about value creation, you know. It's a trade between people, and that's something we sometimes forget when doing sales, when talking like to people, like everything like that. We just try to close that deal and make the money and look at the business tactics and terms, but you have to understand that number one skill you need is just negotiation. It's just like networking, being able to talk, to represent yourself, your offer, to, it's just sales, you know. And sales in general, if you combine that with a service, if you combine that with like a solution that you can provide for a client, and you can be beneficial to others, that's actually all you need in order to start. So don't think about hundreds of different skills and all the business modules and things that the gurus are trying to teach you. It's about committing to one thing and sticking to that one thing. You know, for me in the beginning, it was learning how to build websites. So I did everything so I could learn how to build websites. And then I started approaching clients. I started talking to them. I started going all in, you know, and that's the whole thing. I didn't do everything at once. I just became good at one thing, and so I could be beneficial to others. And I started selling it. And one thing that every single entrepreneur that wants to succeed in business needs is actually the art of doing sales, negotiation, being able to network and build connections, you know. And then if you combine it with learning a skill, like, I mean, for example, like I said, you know, the beginning for me it was web design. After, it was more marketing and more advanced level to build campaigns, funnels, and this is what we still do to this date with our agency, alhamdulillah. I also do see a lot of questions actually about habits and things like, okay, what do I need to let go of, and how can I build a better lifestyle in order to reach my next goals? And actually something that I really want to share here, and when I look at my journey, when I look back, is you will have to understand that you will lose friends when you start winning, okay? I mean, growth makes people uncomfortable sometimes, and you will have to understand that the people will say you've changed. Like you are not going to play games with us anymore. Or even back in the days when I mean, I was grown up in the West, in Europe, you know, I was not even a Muslim. I'm alhamdulillah, I'm a Revert, but like the desire and the temptation and all the distractions around you over there, especially at the age of 16 years old, when I started my business, I had so many friends, you know, that around me that were trying to pull me into those negative behaviors, partying, music, and all this kinds of stuff, you know. And being able to say no and just lock in on your dreams and working on that vision, that's what you need, you know. But people around you, they will say maybe you've changed, why you're not going, why you're not having fun. It will actually show you who's real with you and who's not. So I think in general, you know, in order to go to that next stage, you need to understand that a lot of people, a lot of habits, a lot of things around you are going to hold you back. is not just like negative in the moment or bad for you in the moment. Even from the Islamic perspective, we learn so much about discipline, habits, routine, you know, the structure around prayer, waking up early. And that's the beautiful thing. Actually, that's also how I got into Islam. It's like I wanted to build a better life and get rid of all those friends and negative behaviors, negative things around me. And beautiful thing is just that Islam actually teaches that, you know, that structure. So I would say people around you that uplift you and that are on the same journey, that's what you need, you know. And in the beginning, you will not have that. If you're just starting by yourself, I mean, also building the right connections, just an advice for you guys. You need to be beneficial. If you want to sit around on a table with like people who are high level, have like good knowledge and can help you, I mean, you need to make sure that you are also becoming valuable yourself first. So that's why this process is very lonely, you know? It's very lonely to lock in for the first 1-2 years, and you have to understand that you will not have many friends, you know? You'll have your family and like a little bit of that, but like you will have to understand that once you start on that business journey, you have to go through a few months or years of loneliness, of just you needing to work. And I also do see a lot of questions just about money in general. You know, I just told you like money is not the goal. And I actually want to dive a little bit deeper into that as well. Because for example, here I see also someone saying like, okay, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? If also for personal questions for people, how much money do I actually need in order to become free and in order to live with freedom? But these kinds of things, you know, one thing that I really, really have to say when I look back at my journey is just like, at first you will chase that money and you have that goal because you're a little bit in survival mode, you know, you need to pay your bills, you need to like get around, and I was there as well. A couple of years ago I was struggling, you know, so money is that goal. But later you will realize that time is actually the real wealth, you know, being able to pray on time, being able to feel peace of mind, travel whenever you want, choose your own schedule, and that's real success, you know. I mean, the luxury is peace of mind, it's not possessions, it's not money. Because I mean, if you trade your whole life in order for chasing some numbers on a screen, it's like very empty. And with money comes responsibility, with clients, employees and everything. It's a big mess, you know. And sometimes I kind of see the pros and the cons of all the stages of my life. I mean, that's why I'm also saying in the beginning of my journey, before I had that big win, I will never experience that happiness ever again. And also the purpose that I felt, the motivation that I had whenever I started, it's beautiful, you know. And the freedom that I had back then, of just like trying without having any clients like that are calling you, and like a whole employee, the whole teams, and the whole it like money brings problems. That's what they say, and I kind of agree with it on the level of it creates responsibility, you know. I would not say problems necessarily, but it creates more responsibility, and that responsibility can be a pressure on your shoulders sometimes. So don't just chase money, chase the freedom around it based on time, you know, because time is the only thing you can never earn back or never get back. Money, you can lose it, you can spend it, you can have times of when you're broke, when you're rich, but when it comes down to time, it's just like this life is just a ticking clock that is just, we don't know how much time we have, you know, so we should value that and prioritize that also in our business journey. I mean, for myself, I would rather make $10,000 a month and live with freedom than, I don't know, $1 million a month and being stressed all the time. So don't just make money your goal, but make time and freedom and the whole schedule around it your goal based on the Islamic structure. You know, like I said, being able to just pray, being able to have peace of mind, that's the real goal. This is also a good question. Would I still be confident if no one is watching? So it's kind of based on, like, of course, like we have like right now a little bit of an audience, have people watching, but you know, the whole thing is just like confidence comes from alignment, not from ego. I mean, I even like when I look back in my journey, it's not about the views and the things. I mean, I even feel more pressure nowadays from Islamic perspective of not like showing off or not having the wrong intention or anything like that. I mean, yes, it's of course a big blessing that I have a lot of viewers and that there are a lot of people watching, but it's also a big responsibility, you know. I need to be careful with what I say, what I put out there, and all those kinds of things. So I think confidence in general, the concept of confidence is not really necessarily related to success or, like I said, numbers on a screen, not just money, but also like views, for example, just people watching or those kinds of things. I think true confidence comes from knowing that what you're doing is something that you're proud of, and that is something that is aligned with your vision, your mission, and with your deen, you know? As long as I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be proud of me based on what he teaches us in the Quran and what our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam like is giving us, like in the Sunnah, like all of this. If I base my daily actions and everything that I do on that, then I mean, money and views and these kinds of things, it's nice, but even without it, I would be confident because I know that what I'm doing is good for me, is in line with the true purpose of life, you know. Alhamdulillah. So I mean, true confidence is something that is internal. It's not something related to anything materialistic, because once it is related to something in this dunya, whether it's views online, whether it's money, whether it's cars, whether it's any success, then you will be humbled very soon. I had that in the beginning, you know. I told you in the beginning of this video, I mean, I was very materialistically driven. I was focused on that success. But you will have ups and downs. Sometimes you will have money, sometimes not. You will have, like, especially in business, you will have those ups and downs. And you will really see and feel that you'll be humbled. You'll be humbled anyways in business, that if that's your goal. So no. I also do see a lot of comments, not necessarily even questions, of people saying like, okay, it's a big blessing, big blessing from Allah, to be able to live that life, to be able to have this what you created. And yes, I mean, I say alhamdulillah for everything, you know. But there's one lesson that I kind of want to share here, and something that I've realized myself, is that like blessings are actually responsibilities in and of itself. It's kind of what I just told you, you know. Every follower, every client, every dollar, it's kind of a trust from Allah. And in the moment, most of the time, those things feel really good. Closing your first client, like getting a lot of money out of nowhere, like when you started like grinding and you've had those first successes, or having a social media account that starts growing. In the moment, you're like, alhamdulillah, it's beautiful. But when time passes, you will also see that every single blessing comes with responsibility. So yes, alhamdulillah, I closed my first client. But now what? Now you need to take care of it. Alhamdulillah, I closed my first client. I have like a couple $1,000s on my bank account right now. Then, okay, what do you do with it? You know? And how do you spend it? Like, it's a responsibility. It's like every blessing that we get is actually a responsibility. And that barakah, that goods, it's kind of heavy sometimes, because it comes with accountability. You have to make sure that you know what you do with it, because even your biggest blessings that might feel as blessings right now can be against you on the day of judgment if you don't, like, and even in this dunya, it can make you depressed. It can make you, you know, like, that's why I always teach myself and remind myself of just like saying alhamdulillah no matter what, through the ups and the downs. If you lose something, alhamdulillah. If you get something, if you gain something, close a new client, alhamdulillah, you know. But you never know what it will bring on the long term. Because I also see that the more possessions, like the more things you have, the more money, the more it comes on your path, the more success, more clients, it brings stress as well, you know. So don't ever think that if you see me talk about my business, or you see me here in Dubai living and like making hijrah, whatever, that is just the beautiful life without any stress, without any no, it's a big responsibility, you know. And for every single one of you that sees people like flexing with those cars online, or all those kinds of things, it's like behind every single person there's like there's doubts, there's ups, there's downs, there's people have to deal with those responsibilities no matter in what stage of life you are, rich, broke, whatever, you know. So that's a big reminder that I actually really want to share. There's another question here about habits, and actual question here is like, okay, what kind of a comfort or addiction do I need to get rid of? What is the main thing? It depends, you know, it really depends. I mean, some people are really addicted to food, playing games, or like scrolling on social media or whatever. Like even young brothers I see, some of them are addicted to the whole adultery stuff online, like those kinds of things. But let me tell you something, like in general, you know, dopamine and comfort ruins your dreams. Like it's your biggest enemy, and it comes from shaitan, okay? I mean, comfort, it kills ambition. And it kills it in a very silent way. You know, sometimes I even experienced it myself, you know, in the beginning, you know, when I was younger, I caught myself playing games, or I caught myself on my phone for a little bit too long. And it's comfortable, it feels good in the moment. But after a long day, like at the end of the day, you're like, okay, I could have done so much more. It's your biggest enemy, you know, the dopamine, the comfort, it's really your biggest enemy. You should push yourself and motivate yourself constantly to, you know, you have to push yourself, motivate yourself to set new limits and stay like accountable. Like also it's good to have friends around you who uplift you, people around you who can keep you accountable. But at the end, it's all about what you do and your daily habits, you know, because the constant dopamine, scrolling, snacks, like the distractions, it numbs hunger. It's kind of like you need to be a little bit of hungry, like driven, like motivated in order to reach that success. Because every level of growth, it demands you to like, go through that discomfort, you know. Every time you step out of that comfort zone, it will be tough. And dopamine and comfort keeps you warm, it keeps you cozy and simple in your in your position that you are right now. And I think if I would give one advice for you to really grow, is step out of that comfort zone. And it hurts, it feels bad, it feels like tough, you know. But do it. Because you will see that, after you start embracing that discomfort, you will experience growth. And let's talk about that for a second as well, because I also see a lot of questions here on this channel here on Instagram. I do see a lot of questions about accountability partners, friends, and those kinds of things, because I do mention it a lot, you know. But let me tell you something, okay? You cannot outsource your vision. You cannot have like friends who will text you all the time, and even if they do, it's still about you putting it into action. It's all about you, what you do on a daily basis. And I mean, in business as well, like I have a whole team, and alhamdulillah, I mean, you can hire help, but you cannot hire someone who literally determines the vision for you or whatever. You know, no operations guy, COO, marketer, or manager can replace you or your personal clarity. You need to be the leader, and you need to be the one that like empowers it. You need to be the one leading the ship, the boat. Like you are the one that is in control. And from just the early stages of having good friends around you, yes, it's good, and yes, it's important. But still, it comes down to what you do, you know? Because friends, yes, they are a very good accountability partner. They can help you sometimes in moments of when you feel a little bit down. They can inspire you. They can help you a little bit here and there. But eventually, it's about what you do. You need to lock in no matter what you have around you. And also when it comes to building your company, like, yes, you can outsource simple tasks. You can start outsourcing and those kinds of things. But you need to be the one that is the visionary, that is the one that is having the mission clear, the purpose clear in mind. So protect that, you know, because that's the only thing that you will always have to do and will never be able to outsource it. Let's see. How does it feel to have all those views and the growth? I mean, let me tell you something. So fame in and of itself, or like those numbers, it didn't make me feel better or anything at all. Like more followers, more attention. I mentioned this before. It didn't give me peace or something. I mean, the moment I got known, I also realized that it's nothing without true purpose, you know? I mean, the alignment in between, that's what it's all about. And being recognized by people or those kinds of things. I mean, it's weird sometimes, also from the Islamic perspective. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using me. He's using me to share my message. I mean, I've went through a lot of ups and downs in business and all the experience. I'm just trying to share that with you guys, you know? So I don't care about this at all. If you take everything away from me, I mean, you can take everything away except from my deen. If I have my deen, then alhamdulillah, I'm good. Next one, someone's saying here, okay, when should I quit my job? Like in order to, when you start your business, that whole process, because I understand that also can be a little bit tough sometimes, you know, making that decision of you right now have all your responsibility. Maybe you have your job, maybe you have your studies or things going on. You want to focus on this and you know that it requires time. But when is the right moment to fully dive into that? And I believe that, especially if you look at what I said in the beginning, this first skill you need to learn is you need to become valuable to others, you know? So maybe the current job that you have, maybe you are already good with software, maybe you're already good with marketing or anything, I don't know. Like maybe you can use that already next to your job to start looking for clients and projects, you know? And in general, in and of itself, like if you provide services, there's not much that you need, but you need time, you need some focus. And even myself, I built my business during my studies, and I knew that at the time it was holding me back a little bit. I mean, I was learning a little bit about the foundations of graphic designing and websites. So what I learned there, and I could apply it. That's why I also started looking for the clients in the beginning. You don't need to quit your job from the start. I mean, use your free time that you have for acquisition, for things that move the needle. You know, you need to look at the most ROI-based tasks, and the things that like you need to focus on is like don't write emails all day and just like click around on a screen or whatever. Just make sure that the few hours that you have besides your job, and also the weekends that you have, the days that you have free, you need to spend it on focusing on your business. And then you can do two things, you know. You can either say, okay, you fully quit once you have a few clients, or you start decreasing the amount of hours that you put into your business. From working full-time, you can start working part-time. I'm not a fan of just saying like fully like quit your job or whatever. Even I finished like the first part of my studies until I was 18 before I started quitting school. Like, yes, I mean, I didn't fully finish the whole line of what people normally do, but at least like the first 2 years when I started with my business, even though I was having my first clients, I decided to just finish what I started, and that's good. I mean, I like burning the ships, burning the boats, and like you know, just having one plan, one vision, committing. And you have to make sacrifices, you have to take risks sometimes, but I'm not saying that you need to quit your job. Look at your make an overview. Look at what you need, you know, on a monthly basis. What are your expenses? Your car, your house, your way of living. What do you need bare minimum, and make sure that it, like, at least it covers what you're making on the side with your business, and maybe in combination with like a part-time job or anything like that. Next question. Okay, this is a funny one, but I can answer it in a serious way. I think someone's saying like, okay, what is the quickest way to success? What is the quickest way to do it? And like, I mean, of course, like we always say, there's no get rich quick, especially on the long term for us as Muslims. No, we don't do crypto pumps and this kind of weird stuff. But there is a quick way to success, and that is just executing, you know, just starting and doing things. Because I think the trap of many people who start on this journey of like setting up their business or like working on their business in general, they start reading books, they start like listening to a lot of content, watching YouTube videos, and talking to people maybe even, or buying courses, programs. But if you don't put it into action, it doesn't mean anything, you know. Because all the lessons that I share throughout this video, it doesn't come from theory, you know, it comes from failing, it comes from doing, it comes from real life experience. And real life experience is the best teacher ever. It's nothing compared to any book, any course, any program, nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, all those things can give you definitely a lot of help, and like it can teach you a lot. I mean, I've invested more than 6 figures, like $100,000 into mentorships, coachings, all these kinds of things, and it helps you a lot to fast track your process and your progress. But if you don't put it into action, then it means nothing. You know, I've talked to people who are like in that journey of constantly like doubting and thinking like, okay, when is the right moment to start, or writing a business plan, those kind. But it doesn't bring you any further, you know. So you have to execute, you have to fail, you just don't be afraid of making those failures, like mistakes, and going through that. Let's see. Okay, so question here is like, what is the best business model? What is the best business model for Muslims? I mean, of course, the first rule is it needs to be halal, right? Like, I mean, there's so much crap out there, so much noise out there. When you look online, you go through YouTube, even if I just like literally, if you open up YouTube, like from the start, you see gurus talking about different things like drop shipping, crypto, affiliate marketing, and like all of these kinds of things, you know. I mean, like a lot of it works, but especially for us Muslims, we need to look at what is in line with our religion. Like a lot of modules, they include interest, they include things that are not in line, like different niches, music, like it's related to industries that we actually as Muslims don't want to deal with, those kinds of things, you know. And also from a perspective of efficiency, we need to look at if you are young and you're starting. Like, I mean, come on, most of us, we don't have like big budgets to start, you know. So e-commerce in general, it requires a lot of investment. You need stocks, you need to do product research. It's pretty tough, you know. And like a lot of like gurus are preaching that as the best module, and I kind of disagree. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I say it's not the most beginner-friendly business to start, especially as a Muslim trying to make it if you're younger. So the thing that I did was just learning how to build websites, for example, in the beginning, and I started selling that. And a website is very valuable. Every company needs it, you know? And the thing is just like website is one thing, but marketing, SEO services, video editing, all these things are literally things that you can learn and you can start selling it. And especially right now, we're living in a time where you can work with contractors, you can get help, you can implement AI. We're living in a time full of opportunities, and also especially as a Muslim who is just starting on that journey, it doesn't require a lot of money. It doesn't even require a lot of time anymore, because you have access to all those things and tools to start right away. And that's what I would say is like the best business module to start as a Muslim, especially if you're younger, is selling high-ticket services. Selling services to companies where you can help them with marketing, websites, SEO, building web shops. All these kinds of things are very, very beneficial and needed in the market. And you know, I mean, we're missing out if we're not using that potential, if we're not like listening to like grabbing that like opportunity that is in front of us, you know. And I mean, even Islam talks about that, you know. There's this hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that says that the best among you are the most who are most beneficial to others. And when you're providing a service, you can really be beneficial to others, to companies. And also, like, if you work with a niche and with people who, what is in line with Islam, you don't even need to work with other Muslims. But as long as you provide value, you are beneficial. And that is what this hadith is telling us, you know, and that's beautiful. I think also this business module allows you to, when you do it with the right intention, to really create value and have a positive impact on this world. Also, when I look at what we've done with our agency in the past couple of like 8-9 years already so far, we've served over 200 clients and we've done insane big projects, and projects that really, we started with web design, and right now we do big marketing campaigns, and all those big marketing campaigns make a lot of impact on these businesses, their success and their businesses, the employees and everything. So there's a lot of impact you can make with this business module, alhamdulillah. All right, last question. I think this is a very nice question to end up with. It says, what is your next goal? What are you aiming for? What are you focusing on? The projects that I'm working on. So I mean, the past couple of like 8-9 years right now, alhamdulillah, I've been really locking in, just focusing on my agency, you know. We've been able to automate most parts of that. And the thing that I'm focused on right now is just that next step that comes after it. And for me, that is the blessing that I got from Allah, the responsibility that I have of, you know, the content that we're creating here. I'm really trying to spread the word of Islam on the main channel where we share a lot of content related to dawah, you know, in general. I want to, you know, on this channel right over here, I want to make a lot more impact on a business level. I want to help Muslims to excel in business by just sharing my experience. So I want to give back. But except from that, like other than that, we're also building software right now. So we are building software projects right now. We're moving into new investments in different companies and structures. And I mean, one day maybe I'll talk a little bit more about this and the next step in my business journey right now. But it's really complex, you know. I mean, the thing that I've really realized is that business is a process of leveling up, just like you do in a game. You just start, and the only thing you have to focus on is get your first client. And at that moment, it's one of the hardest things ever. But you know, when you're a couple years in, it's not about like just closing a few clients anymore. It's about like impact, about like how can you move through that next stage. And you know, agency, alhamdulillah, it's amazing. But right now my focus is more on, you know, the two things. It's the media, the impact that I can make with this tool, and also the software and the solutions of like investments that we're doing in business right now, inshallah. So yeah, I think that's it for now. I mean, I can keep talking about this for hours and hours, but if you like this, of me more personally sharing my experience, the things that I'm going through, my lessons, then I would really suggest you to go through Instagram and go to that Instagram channel that I created. It's the private Instagram account called Speak to Thom, where I literally every single week try to do a little bit of a business Q&A in a casual way. So I will link that channel here down below, and I'll talk to you there. You can literally ask me any questions. Even personally, I respond to most DMs. And the thing is, on this private Instagram channel, I don't accept everyone, you know? You need to make sure that you are a Muslim who is on their business, at least, like whether you're a starter or someone who is already in business for a couple of years. If you want to build something for the sake of Allah, this is the place to connect with me, you know? It's the place where I answer even to DMs and where you can have a little bit of more of a conversation with me. I try to answer to business Q&As every single week, every single now and then. So if this is you, if you're interested in that, then click the first link here in the description and I'll talk to you there, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.